What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we get the launch of Festival of the Lost in Destiny 2. On top of that, Bungie have just released the new trailer for the event, and as always we get some very glamorous shots of Guardians with the new cosmetics, but also a bit of a better look at the weapon for the event this year, plus a few activity details and some other stuff which we'll break down from the trailer. Then we'll talk a little bit more about the weapon this year, the new seal, and some details from the press kit. Plus we're going to talk about some of the gameplay changes and weapon updates that we'll be seeing today, in the update that's dropping alongside the event. So as always guys, I hope you enjoy the video, but without further delay, let's get into it. We should start out as always by checking out the trailer in full right here. So if you're after the glitz and glamour for Festival 2022, here it is.
It's the Headless Ones! We warned you it was going to be dangerous down here.
These fellas sure know how to throw a welcome party. Let your ammo do the talking, hero.
This sector has produced a high volume of Headless One sightings. Yes, destroy them! Drive them into the void!
Pretty cool trailer right there. And immediately one of the things we'll notice is that haunted sectors are going to be returning for this year's event. But also in the trailer we get a lot of nice juicy shots of the new armor set and plenty of the masks that we're going to see as part of the event. There's some pretty cool music in the background of the trailer there as well. Plus we see that the new sniper rifle is called Mechabre. We'll talk more about that in a moment. It's a pretty cool trailer as always, and Bungie say, if you're brave enough to swing into an enemy pirate ship, then delving into haunted sectors while wearing a mech suit should be a breeze. Wear your festival mask, snuff out spooky shenanigans, and take the collectible confections that drop to the tower. Eva has prizes for sale, and she only accepts candy. And of course we'll be turning in that currency to get drops of the weapon and things like that. Plus there will be a new haunted sector. They say the abysmal activity is spread to a new location on the EDZ. Conjure your wits and show those pumpkins who's boss. They also allude to the masks that we'll see this year, including Savathun. And they say if you want to pick up the new armor sets, head to Eververse to suit up. As always with events now, there will also be the event card, and they say that the new card is teaming with treats, event challenges, and a seal with the new Ghostwriter title. That's a pretty cool one right there. And as always, we can play for free, or upgrade the card to start bobbing for apples and driving the only perfect Sparrow in the galaxy. And we'll be able to get the event card via the quest tab in-game. And the Cat Sparrow right there, obviously is going to be one of the rewards. They also tease that there'll be new Bungie rewards if you unlock the event title, and we can see the event title icon right there with the festival logo, as well as a pretty cool shirt. And then they talk about the Mechabre sniper rifle. Some mechs fire rocket-propelled fists, and others annoy monsters with itsy-bitsy missiles. We've examined all the blueprints and are going with this huge gun. Earn the new weapon and a trove of other rewards during this year's festival. Safe to say it's a pretty cool looking weapon right there. In terms of the perks that can roll on the sniper rifle, initially we should mention that it's aggressive frame with arc damage, and it has a new origin trait called Search Party, which I believe will be added to all of the Festival of the Lost weapons. And the perk description reads, this weapon is granted faster aim down sight speed and movement speed while aiming down sights when no allies are near. Could be potentially decent. And then looking at the main trait slots, it can get perpetual motion, triple tap, snapshot sights, no distractions, clown cartridge and auto-loading holster in the first slot, with the second trait slot being able to roll Vorpal weapon, opening shot, high impact reserves, moving target, swashbuckler and slick draw. And overall looking at the perks including the origin trait, it seems like it perhaps leans more into the PvP side of things, especially with things like perpetual motion or snapshot in the first slot, then Vorpal weapon or moving target in the second slot. Amongst other perks, there are some decent options for PvP. Obviously for PvE, clown cartridge and triple tap in the first slot are pretty appealing, and especially stuff like Vorpal weapon in the second slot is okay. But let us know any roles that you think would be appealing on the weapon, and of course we'll see how it handles in the game. For now, that does it for the Festival of the Lost stuff though, and as always let us know what you're excited to jump in and try out down in the comments section. Alongside the event though, of course, we are getting a mid-season update, which is somewhat significant today, and in terms of weapon changes, Bungie have outlined that they're buffing some auto rifles, And generally for autos, they're increasing the effects of the stability stat on recoil reduction by 20% at the high end. Then for precision frame autos, they're increasing the crit damage multiplier from 1.5 times to 1.55 times, and so that crit damage will go from 30 to 31. So overall, some small buffs there for auto rifles. But they're also adjusting bow stow durations to make it more difficult to swap to them at high speed, and so a few minor adjustments to the way that they'll handle. Then there are adjustments to pulse rifles as well, and so in general they've rebalanced the effect of the handling stat across pulse rifles, and they're increasing the overall effect of handling by 5% at the high end, which they say mostly affects lightweight and adaptive frame pulses, but reducing the effects of handling by 2% at the low end, which mainly affects high impact and rapid fire frame pulse rifles. They've also adjusted the damage fall off scale based on the range stat, so at 0 range it's reduced from 16 to 15 meters, but at 100 range it'll be unchanged. So overall, a pretty small change. Then for adaptive frame pulse rifles, they're increasing the precision multiplier from 1.6 to 1.65 times, and that'll increase crit damage from 30.4 to 31.4, and it allows the weapon to kill guardians below tier 4 resilience with 6 shots, which will be a 2-burst kill. And then finally, they've adjusted the Peace of Mind's base zoom, and it's being reduced from 19 to 18. There are changes for scout rifles as well though, and they're reducing body shot damage on high impact scout rifles from 42 to 40, and crit damage from 73.5 to 70, and that'll take their optimal time to kill back to requiring 3 crits across all resilience values. Then for sidearms, they're increasing the auto-aim fall-off distance by 30% across the board. And to say for comparison's sake, sidearms with rangefinder should feel about the same after the changes they do in the game right now, but sidearms that don't have things like rangefinder should feel notably better. There are also adjustments to SMGs, and they're reducing the distance at which the damage dealt by the weapon with hipfire reaches its lowest point, and so that goes from 24 to 23 meters across the board. Then for precision frames, they're increasing base damage from 16 to 17, and crit damage goes from 22.4 to 23.8. They're also reducing the zoom of Sheora's Wrath and the friction fire from 16 to 15. And for lightweight frames, they're reducing base damage from 11 to 10.85, and crit damage will go from 18.2 to 17.9. And so again, fairly small adjustments here to try and bring the weapons closer in line with each other. They're also adjusting vertical recoil on fusion rifles, and basically it will require more player input to actually control the recoil, and they're reducing the effect of the intrinsic precision frame perk by 50% for fusion rifles only. Then for glaives, they're reducing the shield damage resistance versus players from 75% to 50%, so they'll be a little bit less strong at shielding in PvP. And they're also adjusting flinch once again on sniper rifles, and they're increasing the settle time after receiving flinch by 60%. So the effect of flinch will last longer, but they're actually reducing the amount of flinch received in PvE. And so in PvE, we'll be flinched a little bit less often, and that'll counter that settle time change, but for PvP, it'll certainly make being flinched by a sniper more punishing. Bungie are also increasing the effect of the stability stat for trace rifles and the effect that it has on recoil reduction at the low end. So it'll change by 10% at the low end, and then the high end of the stat will change by 25%. And Bungie say for high stability trace rifles, they'll feel much more like laser beams. A good short change here, but rocket launchers will see an increased blast radius by 0.4 meters across the board. And then they've outlined perk changes for weapons, including that Gutshot Straight will no longer have audio when activated. Rangefinder will see the additional 20% bonus on aim assist fall off removed. That'll make it less sticky at long ranges. And for exotics, in Jade Rabbit, they're reducing the aim assist by 20. It's an interesting change right there. And of course, Lord of Wolves is being adjusted as well. And Bungie's intention is to keep Release the Wolves inaccurate for PvP, but to make it more easy to consistently hit critical hits on big targets in PvE without being right next to them. So they're reducing the aim down sight accuracy penalty, removing an old 25% universal damage buff, but replacing it with a 40% PvE damage buff, removing the critical hit multiplier penalty, and adding full auto as an intrinsic perk. So actually it's going to be an interesting one to try out in PvE, and could be pretty strong. They also say with No Time to Explain being a very solid and viable option for PvP, that they're making it a bit less robust and reducing recoil direction from 90 to 73, and aim assist from 45 to 40. And then finally, Risk Runner will be adjusted to reduce damage resistance versus players when Arc Superconductor is active, and that'll go from 50% to 15%. So a big change that will affect PvP only according to the patch notes. And so if you have any thoughts on the updates that we're getting to the game in general today, let us know down below, as well as what you're looking forward to in the festival event this year. But if you've enjoyed the video today, a rating also helps us out down below, and feel free to get subscribed to the channel so I can keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise for now, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.